FM and FM HD1.
Welcome to Politics and Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to Northeast, Northwest Texas, Northeast, or rather Northwest, Southwest Louisiana. Good morning to the rest of the world. Good morning to every nook and cranny that our 100,000 watt transmitter visits every single weekday at 6 a.m. Central Time. It's going to be a great show today because, of course, we have our special Thursday guest, who is Neil Aquino. We'll get to Neil in a minute, but before we get there, welcome aboard to the geniuses in the studio. It's Jack Van Beber and Howard Reynolds.
I like it when Jack gets top billing because Jack is a good man. He comes down here every morning at 5:20, sets up the tin cans and string, and gets it all working. And all I have to do is breeze in and go, "Hi, Jack. Let's sit down and play radio."
All right, play some radio.
I got a tiny rant this morning.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
The rant is I want everyone to go and Google search Donald Trump will destroy America. Now, and read some of the articles at what's ahead should he return to the White House, which we hope he won't. So please go ahead and take a look at this and see if this is your man after all. Because I know the MAGA billies are just going to go, "Oh, you're just a lefty, you're just a communist, you're just a bum." But that's not true. Well, it is true. I am a bum, but
I'm a hobo.
Fact is, take a look at what's ahead. And if you really want to see what's going to happen, Google search Donald Trump will destroy America.
Well, look,
and just read some of the articles. Just breeze through some of them. Take a look at them. The MAGA billies don't have to actually sit down and read because I think most of them can't. But the fact is, take a look at what's going to happen should he return to the White House. But I don't think he's going to.
I think no. It's going to be a land. But you know what he's going to do? I think that what he's going to do is he's going to make a humongous sweep across the country, and it's going to be right across the board. Because what's going to happen is when people realize what's happening, they're coming to vote, and they're voting the entire ticket. So I mean, I think. I am putting this. I've been putting this on the line for now. Maybe I'll have to eat my words. If I have to eat my words, maybe I got to move back to Panama too, because I'm a naturalized American citizen, and under the auspices of Donald Trump, they'll be able to just about deport everybody and revoke things like find reasons to revoke people's citizenship and all that kind of stuff. I mean, look.
Mhm.
If people don't get it, that when you have somebody that works ex-constitutionally, that's what you got. Somebody willing to work ex-constitutionally. But Howard, thank you for that rant. I think that's important. That was an important one, man. Important one.
Oh, well, of course. And besides that, when I have to eat my words, I always like a little ketchup with them. Jack has got some wisdom for us today. Yeah, what you got, man? I see about half a page over there.
Yeah. Okay. This is about the people's power, that they have more power than just to vote if they'll realize it, that they can use this to leverage the politicians. You Americans have power you don't even realize. You have the power of the pocketbook. Commerce is what fuels an economy. The people can speed up the economy with spending. They can also slow down the economy by not spending. Did you hear that? The people can slow the economy by withholding spending to send a signal they are dissatisfied with where our leaders are leading us to. They're leading us to never-ending wars for corporate resource extraction. Period.
That deserves a moment of silence behind it.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. But I want Jack tickle something. I'm going to Neil. Well, I tell you before I go on to Jack, we can't leave Neil holding this long. So I want to say, brother Neil Aquino, the who again, founder of Houston Democracy Project. Welcome. It's Thursday. Welcome to Politics and Right. How are you doing, my brother?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Jack and Howard, for putting it all together. And hello, global audience.
Thank you for chiming in. I wanted to expand a little bit on what Brother Jack had to say, because I went to a conference in New York last year, actually, and we stayed in this nice mountain resort kind of a deal. It was one of those grants or something that they gave a whole bunch of us activists. And it was activists from the left, the right, the middle, just about everybody. And we sat down and talked and had all these talkings, right? And I got up and said, they were asking, "Good morning, Ray. How you doing, my brother? Good morning, Eric Hayes as well," on chat. I got up and I said, each of us activists was like, "What's your goal? What do you want to do?" And my thing is, I want to empower people to go ahead and take their government back and ta-da-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. And I'm going on my soapbox. And this guy, he's originally from Portugal, but he's a real activist out there in Colorado. He stood up and he said, first of all, none of us here have the power to empower anyone. And everybody kind of stood aback, and my eyes opened, and I'm like, "Talk to me, brother. What do you mean?" And he said, "Remember to tell everybody this. You are already empowered to do these things. You don't need anybody to empower you, nor do we have the ability to empower you." So when Jack just said, "People, you can, with your spending, you can decide how things function," that is more powerful than people believe or can see. Let me give a perfect example. The perfect example was during the pandemic. People stopped driving, people stopped buying gasoline, and guess what happened? Gasoline, a barrel of oil went to below zero. And what that means is that the oil companies, because they themselves had contracts, they had to pay people to store the oil. So they were giving away oil because they had to get rid of it. And that was somebody on the market buying oil from, actually, they weren't buying oil. The oil companies were paying them to take the oil. I think it only lasted 2 or 3 days, but I mean, still, you have the power to change what's going to happen in this country. And what Jack said is 100% on. But Neil Aquino, we just got through some elections, not only here in Harris County, but throughout the country. Give me your first impressions.
Right. Well, I think in some ways the biggest story actually was in Texas was Greg Abbott was successful, in getting rid of a lot of the state legislators who were anti his school voucher.
Yeah.
And they have the speaker, Dave Phelan, in a runoff in his district. I think it's a Beaumont area district, and he seems to have a lot of trouble. But I think the biggest take was, as rotten as it sounds, that the state has moved even further to the right, and the tradition or custom of members of the minority party having committee chairs, I think, is in doubt. And I think we're going to see school vouchers, and those rural folks who wisely know that the vouchers are a bad idea because there's not going to be big private schools and all that in these rural communities. I guess they're going to gut their own public education.
Well, it is amazing. There's one thing that is so important about the way many on the right operate. They're relentless. We don't get what we want. Those on the left or whatever, we call it in. We say, well, I guess we didn't get this. These guys are relentless and they never stop. And,
Nope.
So they lose a bat. Look, Abbott did how many special sessions to try to get this? 3 special sessions?
Three or four, yeah.
3 or 4 special sessions, and he couldn't get vouchers because even the people on the right in rural areas don't want vouchers. Right. So he got people elected who will go against the people who elected them to support vouchers. And guess what he used to do it, Neil? He used immigration. Those people won on immigration. They didn't win on school vouchers. They won because Abbott made ads that said, "I need X in Congress with me to solve the immigration problem, and I can't trust Y to do that. I mean, it was perfect the way Abbott did it, and it worked.
Yeah, they're going to dismantle their own.
Their
They're
own
going to dismantle
cities.
their own social infrastructure. They know the teachers. They know the schools. They themselves probably have the same teacher that they're sending their kids to, and someone's going to come in there and set up a Christian school, get vouchers, gut the private school, and I think eventually gut the public school, and eventually they'll start closing those schools, and these districts will just have Christian options or right wing options funded by vouchers.
That's the goal. I mean, if you take a look at how they took over HISD, and you know who else won? The guy who invited the state to take over HISD. I can't remember his name right now.
Dutton.
Dutton. He won.
Well, that district. So there's a guy, Danny Norris, and I thought Danny was a viable contender. He only got 19%, but Dutton got 62%, and I think that's District 142. But anyway, Harold Dutton, who has been there forever, and if you talk to him, he can be very charismatic. I think he has a loyal core, but he only won his primary last time against a a union person named Candace Houston. He only won, I don't know, by less than 100 votes. And I had spoken to someone from the teachers union this time. They thought they could get Dutton into a runoff because there were 3 or 4 candidates
Right. Now,
in that race, but nope.
you know, a few sessions ago, because Dutton have been doing this crap for a long time, and I
Right.
did something, I don't remember what it is, and I think it was the CEC cornered me, or I don't remember it was on the phone or the CEC, and he said
Yeah.
some crap like, you know what you're gonna get if somehow we don't, I am not, I mean something to the effect like if I'm not elected, you know what you're gonna get, kind of like a threat, you know,
Sure.
not to me, a threat to what the constituents would get, you know,
Right.
and
Yeah,
it
he's
would,
prickly. Yeah, confrontational, prickly guy.
yeah, and he
Yeah.
has no qualms with what he did to the district whatsoever, none.
No, he celebrates it. No.
You know, but anyway, J Ray, brother Ray said good morning to the PDR posse, and thank you, Jack, for that special message. I don't think I could have said it any better myself. Random thought of humor. This is from J Ray as well. I would love to hear brother Jack's opinion on Bluebell ice cream. I swear I heard his voice on a commercial one time. And J Ray also says, I was threatened by Harold Dutton before when I was in the Capitol. He threatened to call DPS on me. He loves to
Sure.
do that, apparently, you know, because, you know,
Yeah.
he kind of like wanted to jack me up because we had an entire show on what he was doing. And there's one particular board member. I was very disappointed in her in that she was scared to come out and say what he was doing was, well, you know what. But anyhow, so tell us more about the election. And folks, don't forget the number is 713-526-5738. This is your show. Call in at will, 713-526-5738. Continue, my brother.
Well, I guess we know the local headline was Sean Tier beating Kim Ogg 78% to 22%. I think that was it, and it's good. And it was, and another victory was actually Allison Mathis defeating
Mhm.
Ramona Franklin for the judicial seat, and Ramona had been written about repeatedly in the Chronicle as one of the less effective judges, and it was good to highlight 2 races where folks deserved to lose, and they did. Sometimes you become a little despairing, like we just talked about the Dutton race. What does it take? We almost clipped him 2 years ago. But so it's heartening to know that there's at least some times where the electorate processes it, and then the Senate race was anticlimactic. I thought Roland Gutierrez would seem to have some chance to get Colin Allred into a runoff, but that is Allred just blew him out of the water,
Yeah.
and it'll be a Colin Allred Ted Cruz race for the U.S. Senate.
You know what I don't understand is, first of all, and this, let me take my host hat off. I went into that race with I think both Allred and Gutierrez are fine, right?
Sure.
But it upset me the move that Allred made against Biden when all the Republicans said he was ineffective on the border, because I just didn't think you wanted to have the talking point that a bipartisan group of Congress people thought the Biden policy was ineffective. I think that is very bad optics, and I think he allowed himself to be used in that, and I don't think he should have.
Right.
But
Right before the border bill that Trump scuttled, whether you
yeah,
agreed with the bill or not, it was right before Biden did try to do something. Allred joined with 13 other Democrats to condemn Biden for his border policies. Then Biden tries something, and Allred ran a big money campaign. There was a lot of frustration with him that he ignored voters, just basically asked for money, acted like a victor. But of course, he did win by a lot.
and the thing about it is, I think either one of those guys with the Democratic Party's support can actually beat Cruz, because I don't think Cruz is well. I think Cruz is really in danger this time.
Now, the narrative I'm sticking to is that Cruz is going to lose Texas and Trump is going to lose Texas. I'm gonna stick to that narrative, um, because what I'm gonna do and what I encourage everyone to do, and to go with the commentary this morning from the studio. We have got to defeat these people. So I'm not, as Walter Mondale once said, stuff the polls. Um, we've got to beat these people, and we have to press our elected officials to do everything they can all the time, every day, to generate turnout. So you're going to hear that's going to be my narrative, whatever the polls say.
Now, Texas grassroots action. Tell us a little bit about that and how that's going to be a part of the action.
The Texas Grassroots Alliance is a coalition of many statewide leaders. There's a Texas Grassroots Alliance webpage, Twitter page, Facebook page. There's a guy whom we both know, Alexander Montalvo, who's out in Fort Worth, and it is a group of leaders. We're doing a series of live streams, different formats, different times a day. They're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I think they're going to be on Twitch for all the for the gamers. I think that's a goal.
Yes.
We're going to be on today at noon. One of our guests is Michelle Davis from Lone Star Left, which is a great Substack, and she has real knowledge of the full state. I find it hard to pay attention to all those little Republican races, the legislative races, because it's just so depressing and mean. And Michelle knows it up and down. So it's the Texas Grassroots Alliance. My project, the Houston Democracy Project, is a member. Egberto Willies, Politics Done Right, is a member. And please look for it as we get through November. We're going to find an autonomous channel of communication where progressives and pro-democracy advocates can talk and have our own forums and on multiple platforms. You saw Facebook and all of the Meta products go down on Super Tuesday, right? What were the odds of that? So we're going to be on multiple channels and try to find our own ways of communication. And, that's one of our themes. One of the themes of my Thursday shows as a guest is make sure you have the emails and the phone numbers of the people you value for the trouble ahead, for the authoritarian troubles ahead. You're gonna need your own channels potentially to communicate with people.
I'm so glad you said that. I'm coming to the chat to the phones. We have the phone is loaded right now, but I want to let folks understand what you just said, or reiterate what you just said. People, activists, or friends, make sure to have the cell phone numbers and the email addresses of all your entire sphere of influence, all the people that are around you that you have contact with, etc. Have their emails, their cell phones, and every form of contact for that person. Because what you saw occur with Facebook, we're not trying to create any kind of a any theory, what you call that, any conspiracy theory. That's not what we're doing here. We're saying that we don't know why, but things like that can happen, and they can happen on election day, like it happened for Facebook, where a lot of people who built Facebook groups for their little small campaigns build their Facebook groups, they were down for several hours when people would have been organizing to get things done. So have all your information, and the composite of your information and your friends' information rebuilds a database, whether the corporate control of these social media things are there or not. I learned that the hard way. I learned that when, and I'm coming to the phones right now. When YouTube, just out of the blue, somebody sabotaged me. I lost my YouTube account, and everything was on that platform.
Right.
I made sure to have every platform covered, plus the emails, as you talked about. That's the only way around the corporatocracy being able to control communications. And let's go ahead and start with Patrick. Patrick, how are you doing this morning?
I'm all right. I definitely appreciate your guest every time he comes in, but I wanted to distract from him just for a minute, and I apologize to him.
Oh no, that's fine. It's your show, my friend.
You got a phone call yesterday that was extremely upsetting to me.
Okay.
I usually brush this guy off because he doesn't know the difference between watts and volts, but you had somebody calling yesterday, and they said that the killing of 25,000 women and children, or mainly the killing of 15,000 children, was justified because one area of the Middle East voted for Hamas, not even all of them, and that justified killing children, murdering children. I want to point out that the West Bank has nothing to do with Hamas. And in 2023 and 2024, these are the most deadliest years for them from the IDF. And I wanted to give Brian an opportunity to just think about what he said, that he justified the murder of children. And half the time he calls in, he's got this fetish about abortion, and he can't even argue abortion, right? But he'll say that the killing of Pakistani children is fine because of what a few men voted in.
Let me tell you, first of all, I understand your angst, and it's an angst that I've dealt with, and I continue to, and that's the reason why, even as I said, I wouldn't have touched the subject. I morally, I had to hit the subject and hit it hard. I hit it here at KPFT, but mostly I hit it at my 3 o'clock show because it shows what happened is the following, Patrick. We have allowed our media and politicians to dehumanize a group of people. And when you dehumanize a group of people, you no longer see them as people like yourself who has feelings, thoughts, independent wishes, etc. And that gives you the opportunity then to harm them and feel justified in harming them. And I'm glad that you brought that up and highlighted that. The reality is what's occurring in Gaza right now is not only apartheid, it is a genocide, it is murder. All those things can be climbed up and can be tied up in one. And there's nobody who can open their eyes and see what's going on and don't get it. So thank you for bringing that subject up, even though that's not what we're talking about today, Patrick. It's your show, my brother.
Thank you. And I would like to say that most of the hostile government takeovers started with marginalizing the weakest people among us, and there is one party that's been doing that. I don't need to name names. But
Exactly.
thank you for your time. You have a good day.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Let's go ahead and get Ray from Third Ward. Come on in, brother Ray. Talk to me.
Good morning to Brother Alberto. Good morning to Brother Neil Aquino.
Thank you.
Good to see you again on this Thursday morning. I actually wanted to pick the brain of both my brothers, and I also had some commentary. And I'm going to do like Alberto says. I'm going to take off my activist hat for just a second to give some commentary on a particular race that I voted on, and also, had a personal stake in seeing through to the end, and that was the race for State District 146 with Sean Theory versus Lauren Ashley Simmons, which I thought was a quite interesting race because, you know, Sean Theory, the incumbent, you know, basically lost because she stood on homophobia. And basically, you know, I heard all of the ads that said, you know, she voted with that Greg Abbott, you know, to ban, you know, transgender care for kids. And, you know, that was perplexing to me in a sense that I guess basically if she took that stand, she didn't really have to because if I'm not mistaken, like a 81 majority of Republicans in the Texas House, and she could have easily just voted with, you know, along party lines and, you know, saved face and not have to, you know, face a primary challenger like Lauren Ashley Simmons. But, you know, to see Lauren Ashley Simmons kind of come out on top of this race, you know, speaks a lot to, you know, how she, you know, really spoke to the base that she had, the unions, the, you know, the real grassroots base that she had. And I want to also say when I take off my activist hat, I thought it was really, you know, stupid for Ashton Woods to jump in a race. I know Ashton Woods personally, and if I had a conversation with him, I would have said, bro, you know, you might really split this race in a bad way to where it might fall back to Sean Theory. And, you know, luckily it seems like progressive roots have really helped out that race go in the direction they wanted. But, you know, runoffs to me are always iffy in Houston because that means you have to get people to vote again. No.
Yeah.
And
and you know what? She came so close, 49.5%, right?
Yeah.
Very close. Very, very close.
Let me say something about that. Lauren was I was at the Houston LGBTQ political caucus meeting last night, and Lauren was there. And I could have easily included that in the races. The two races I mentioned earlier, where I was happy to see an electorate that the messages reached through. Lauren was there, and everyone would just go up to her and be like, "A, congratulations," and B, "Oh boy, 49%, so damn close." So she is ready to go. With Theory, it was what the caller said. Book anti-gay, anti-trans, and then also book banning. She was talking about she didn't need to take any of those positions. She said, "Oh, they're punishing me because I don't believe in the party line." This wasn't because she had diverted from the party line. This because she was demonizing and scapegoating people. That no one in her district was calling for her to do that. And the fact that this safe incumbent found herself down 49-43, and it is, and we do have to get those folks out again. I was concerned.
That's what I was going to say. The problem with runoffs in Harris County is that if you think elections are low turnout, runoffs are even worse, and that gives anybody an open door to win that. So Ray, you nailed it. The thing about it though is that I think that the new grassroots movement that brought all these candidates in Harris County and almost brought her in, I think is not over, especially given that this is a presidential year and everybody are busting their butts to really get things out. So I think Ray, she's in a good position.
I think Ray, organized labor, they'll be out. One good thing is at the caucus, since there are so fewer races, I think you'll see the LGBT caucus walking, and you'll see labor canvassing.
Yeah, but look, our phones, we have calls that we need to get to on the phone. So, Ray, anything else quick? You said you also had a narrative you wanted to come out with?
Oh, yeah, I already said it. Like, you know, like I say, I like Ashton Woods as an activist, but I really think she would have probably won that race, you know, if he wouldn't have, snatched that, 5% or so. You know, I think because they really were running along the same platform, you know, was reactionary to her right wing stance, which, you know, disgusts me because, you know, she's an educated black woman, but she kind of gives me that elitist neo-democratic type of vibe, if you know what I mean. So I'm personally invested in seeing her lose that seat, having known what I know. And I voted for her because she was a Democrat. along party lines. But knowing what I know, it makes me disgusted, and I don't want to have to do that again in a general.
Well, Ray, thank you, my brother, for calling.
Thank you, Ray.
I got to jump to Harry, and then Harry, Augie, Johnny. Harry, come on in.
Good morning, Alberto. Good morning, Neil. Good morning, Jack, and good morning, Howard. I'll start off saying, Howard, I will read that stuff about Donald Trump will destroy America because he is dangerous. Well, Professor Willis, I hope you are right. I heard you talking to Steve Hunter about it. I hope it is a landslide for Democrats. I hope you're absolutely right about that. So Steve Hunter can't hold you accountable if Donald Trump gets back in there. Please, I'm praying that does not happen. But and I also agree with what caller Will said yesterday on You Talk Too. President Biden is in trouble. He better deliver a grand slam home speech tonight in the State of the Union. And what Patrick said there about Israel, again, he's absolutely right. And Brian is, doesn't have his facts right about Israel and all that, as far as what's happening been happening to the Palestinians since 1948, and why you had a PLO created, you had a Hamas and a Hezbollah created because they don't want to be oppressed and they want to just exist and live there. They have a right to exist. I'm not saying that Israel doesn't, but they both need to exist. But Joe Biden better just say to people, look, because he's complicit in this genocide. Look, we want a permanent ceasefire. That's what people want. They don't want, and those people who voted for him 4 years ago will not vote for him this time if you don't do that. And you have to just tell the people, American people that are struggling, folks, to help me, to help you, you got to help me. We got to vote in more progressive people like Alberto Willis talks about on this show. That's what we have to have so we can make more progress and help struggling Americans. That's what we have got to do. And
Harry, I want to interrupt for one thing, if I may. Harry, if I may interrupt you for one thing, because I don't want to forget this part. You said that the president better give a darn good speech, and I agree with you 100% that he better give a good speech. But I don't want to hold this election on a speech, right? I want folks to realize that you have to go out there and work, because he could go out there and stumble. He could go out there and trip at the podium. He could go out there and stutter. Right. He could go out there and do a lot of things that are going to end up on a reel. It's going to end up on a Twitter reel. It's going to end up on a Instagram, Facebook, YouTube reel. I want this guy to have enough backing and support from all over areas so that doesn't matter. After all, don't Trump have reels with him speaking a different language when he's giving a speech? Yeah. People don't know what the hell Trump is saying anymore. So I mean, look, I don't want us to follow the mainstream media's narrative. The mainstream media narrative is, oh my God, he has to have the best speech of his life. I want him to be able to go up there and have a lousy speech and still win, because we have to move away from a speech winning an election as opposed to work and dedication and actually what you have done win an election. We got to get back there, brother. But continue, Johnny, before I get to Augie, then right. Harry.
Well, you're right. You're right, Alberto. You're absolutely right about that. And I think after the speech, the State of the Union speech tonight, he just needs to follow up on doing more things, like he went to unions, that he's pro-union, to help working Americans, do things that working Americans want to hear, those kinds of things. So
Harry, I agree with you, and I think you're absolutely right. Let me get to Augie, and I thank you so kindly for calling. Love you, brother. All right? Yeah. Let's go to Augie. Come on in, Augie.
And you all. I forgot about yesterday. You were talking about religion. And this weekend, I went to my aunt's 90th birthday party, stayed at a cousin's house. I saw this movie called Elmer Gantry with Burt Lancaster. And there's a line in it where they're trying to get a revival meeting in this little town. But some of the religious leaders don't like that, Elmer Gantry. And one of the lines they say is, he's trying to turn religion into a business. and that's what these like Ed Young, Joel Osteen. That's what they've done. And these others, they've turned religion into a business. But they're trying to Genesis. It said God made man in God's image. Well, these religious leaders are trying to make God in man's image.
That is exactly, you nailed it. You nailed it. They're trying to make God in man's image because all the fealties of man is what they're assigning to God, from racism to sexism to homophobia. All these things that these guys are talking about are they are reflecting in what to God, what is the hate in themselves. And I tell you, worse, Augie, they are a tax exempt system that allows people to hide a lot of their monies, whether it be schools and all kinds of ways. They use this to prevent these people from participating in the tax system, including pastors who don't pay certain taxes themselves. Anyway, continue, my brother Augie.
Yeah, well, I know a pastor here in a small little church, non-denominational, but he's got $1 million home on Memorial Drive.
Yes.
And the home, so it's supposed to belong to the church. That's the way in the tax roll.
Yes.
But he got the change where he could turn it on to his son. So this church home is being turned on to a $1 million home that the congregant helped buy.
Yes.
Or breaking the law. But anyway, and I want to talk about Allred too, where he puts his flyers commercial. He talks about going to Baylor University. Well, it's about everybody in Baylor University is a Republican, and you have to go to religion school to go to that university too. So when he was talking about Baylor University, I know a lot of people that would go there or went there, and they're all Republicans. But I just wanted to put that in.
No, Allred, look, I think Allred is playing the wrong game to some extent, right? In other words, too many Democrats try to become Republicans. Republicans that get Democratic votes don't try to be Democrats. They try to say, I am the best option, right? I mean, you watch how Republicans campaign for Democrats, right? And a lot of Democrats vote for Republicans. I don't have a problem with that. If the Republican is a better candidate, vote for the Republican. Unfortunately, in the MAGA times, there is absolutely not one Republican that would earn my vote, because unless you go out and say this party has gone off track and is wrong, you can't have my vote if you are a Republican, because again, it's a clear and present danger to America. But that said, Republicans don't go out there and try to be Democrats to win Democratic votes. They just look at the commonalities. Allred can actually reach Democrats that have not voted, have never voted, and also he can reach Republicans with his platform. He doesn't need to try to do what Neil just said he's doing. He doesn't. But it's something it's hard to teach. Everybody fall back to those analysts and those consultants in Washington, etc., who would never know a Texan, would never know somebody from North Dakota, South Dakota. If they spit on them, they wouldn't know them. And that's where we're at. Anyway, Augie, anything else before I jump to Johnny?
No, and about Palestine. There's more than Muslims in Palestine. There are Christians. And Christian churches, schools, buildings, and homes have been attacked, and they've been killed and wounded. Christians have. And also UN workers, their buildings have been hit, and UN workers have been killed too, not just the Muslims. So, and
it's a genocide, brother.
Palestine deserves it because they voted Hamas in. Well, they didn't just vote him in. Netanyahu and the Israelis helped create Hamas also to counter the PLO. And Netanyahu knew about the attack a year. He knew the plan, and he knew the rehearsal, and he also helped funded Hamas. They would get millions of dollars from Qatar, and Netanyahu knew all about that, and he helped make sure they got the millions of dollars every month.
You know what is so funny about that? It's not just progressives saying that. Haaretz, one of the major newspapers in Israel have been writing this. I've been reading this for weeks from its inception. Haaretz have been writing about this. Good journalists in Haaretz have said it. Again, Hamas was nothing more than a proxy for Netanyahu to effect a genocide in Gaza. That one sentence says it all. That one sentence says it all. And I am willing to debate absolutely anybody on that one sentence. But Augie, I need to run to Johnny, my
Before
brother.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well,
Go ahead. Thank you
do.
very much, Augie. Go ahead,
we,
Neil.
because Augie and I read an obituary last night. We've talked about Palestine twice for a guy named Alfred Grosser, Grosser, and he was 99, and he was French, and he had spent his life with France, and Germany after the war. And I saw the sentence in the obituary. I was absolutely certain that hatred for a collective was not the right response to collective hatred. I was certain that hatred for a collective was not the right response to collective hatred. And this guy talked about, that we can't hate all Germans. We have to move ahead. And even in the worst of human atrocities, there are calm voices and there are peaceful voices, and there's no one in Israel, it seems, to slow down the hatred of the collective of the Palestinian people. It's just indiscriminate bombing, and there are voices out there for peace. And I when I read that last night, it immediately took me to the current situation and a wish that a more peaceful voice would prevail in Israel.
That is a powerful statement, and we have to realize that there are so many Jewish groups in America right now that are condemning what's occurring in Gaza, that are condemning all of that. We have to realize that. But Johnny, come on in, brother. Mayor of Politics Done Right.
Okay, so I want to thank Augie. That was a fantastic call because he made me realize that not only are the Republicans looking to burn and ban books and rewrite history books, they also want to rewrite the Bible. We've seen that happen once or twice, haven't we?
Yeah.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
Yeah, so thank you, Augie, for reminding us that that's what they're doing. They're rewriting the Bible. And I want to thank Harry Carey. Now, Harry Carey always thanks everybody, so I want to thank Harry Carey for something. I totally forgot that tonight is the so-called president's, speech, his State of the Union.
State of the
By
Union.
the way, State of the Union, that's going to be a way for us to see what Joe Biden plans to do if and when he gets to be inaugurated again come January. And I'm not feeling too optimistic because here's my theoretical question for you. And I also have a technical question, by the way. My theoretical question is, a rhetorical question rather, is if and when Joe Biden becomes reelected, right? Day one, week one, month one, year one, following his reinauguration, do you think that Joe Biden is going to all of a sudden say, hey, I got one term left, and I can do what I need to do now. I can be more progressive, like go to the American people and telling them I'm going to lower the age for qualifying for Medicare while we work towards instituting single-payer health care for all? No. Do you think he's going to announce an aggressive policy of criminal investigation of Wall Street criminals? It's the Biden, Joe Biden. I did some research. The president does have some control over the Justice Department. They do answer to him directly, by the way. So I don't know, all this talk I hear on legacy media about that, the separation between the two, that's nonsense. Do you think the Republicans have a problem with that? Absolutely not. So
now let me respond. Let me respond a bit before you go further. First of all, Biden is not going to do anything that Biden is not pushed to do. Biden is not a progressive, but Biden has instituted policies more progressive than Barack Obama, who is or used to be a real progressive. Let's get that on the battlefield right now. Biden has provided more progressive policies than the purported more progressive Barack Obama. That's number one. Number two is he didn't do that because he wanted to do that. He did that because he was pressured by progressives to do that. What am I trying to say? You remember one time Republicans used to say, we just need somebody there to sign the bill? That is exactly what we need to start. Progressives need to mature and say that we could get Biden elected, but we couldn't have gotten Bernie elected. But we could get Biden to pass Bernie's policies, and that is where a mature progressive movement needs to execute. And that is to say, let's see what I need to do to ultimately get my policies. When in God's world had we ever seen modern monetary theory in action? It has only ever occurred under Biden. It's amazing. And I am not even a Biden guy, but it's only occurred under Biden. And that's what I need to tell you, Brother Johnny.
May I retort?
Yes, sir.
May I retort?
Of course.
Hello?
It's your show.
So,
can you hear me?
I have not forgotten that Franklin Delano Roosevelt said, "Make me do it." I'm well aware of that. But you know what I object to with the so-called infrastructure under the Inflation Reduction Act that he did. That is not progressive. It wasn't financed progressively. It's costing us more money because he didn't fund it the right way. Why? Because we don't have a progressive income tax code like under Eisenhower. You know that every time they do something like this, it's always a public-private thing where the private gets to rip off the public, and there's nothing progressive about that.
Exactly. So, you're correct. And how do we solve that, Johnny? You know how we solve that? First of all, we got the bill printed. Just let me tell you what I wrote back in 2010. In 2010, I was completely against Obamacare. By the way, I wanted people to vote for Obamacare. But what I said is Obamacare, the only way I really was going to support Obamacare is with the public option, because with the public option, it would have turned into single payer by default, because no insurance company could compete with the public option. Okay? An unrestricted public option was not a competible thing, nor should it have ever been. Based on healthcare being a right, we shouldn't have a for-profit healthcare system. So I wrote that. Now, when they had to remove, because of the death of Kennedy and all of that, we couldn't make any more modifications to the bill. I said, okay, we have to support the bill now, but it's still modifying the bill later on, as many modifications have been made subsequently. We will be able to do that. And that's all I'm saying. I'm telling people right now, first of all, I accept your pessimism, right? But I look at Neil Aquino here, who is the founder of the Houston Democracy Project. And notice I'm making sure people realize that we have organizations that are going to be out there on the ground, right? We all have to be on the ground, not asking these people to do these things, Brother Johnny, but either letting them know that they're going to do it, or else we'll do what happened to in the tier OG movement. OG was actually at one time an unbeatable person until the grassroots got involved. We have to understand the power. Well, you have to understand your intrinsic power. I know you do, Johnny. I'm saying that in general. We have to understand our intrinsic power in the electoral system and apply it and use it. Continue, Johnny, before I go to John.
Okay. Before I give you my technical question, I'll push back one more time and remind you that when we on the left say we need to force them, we need to threaten them, it doesn't have the same weight as on the right side of the aisle when their grassroots people say, you better do this, because those guys are physical. They don't use their words, they use their threats. And that's why the people on the left, the legislators, or that illegitimate Supreme Court ruling the other day came about, because they are scared eshless. Because if they didn't agree with the Republicans, they were afraid they will get firebombed in their home.
Got it. Hey, Johnny, go technical. I read you, but we're going to solve that, Johnny. We are going to solve that. I promise you that. We are going to solve it. We have institutions working on grassroots institutions.
I need your opinion on this technical matter. When a candidate drops out or they suspend their campaign, but then they go back in again, how does that affect their names showing up on a ballot in all 50 states, like Cenk Uygur? Couldn't his name still appear? And couldn't he say, hey, I'm back in the race a month from now or 6 months from now?
If the ballots are printed. If the ballots are printed, right, Neil Aquino? If the
Sure,
ballots
yeah,
are,
the ballots are printed. There they are.
yeah. If the ballots are printed, he's on, and
My
he
answer,
likely,
then, I will continue money. I will then continue sending money to Cenk Uygur.
All right. Well, good for you, buddy. Hey, thank you, Johnny. I got to go to John. Okay, thank you for.
Please send that money to the Houston Democracy Project instead. Okay, believe me, Houston Democracy Project. Send it there. Okay.
All right, come on in, John. We're running out of time, so come on in, John. I wasn't a good time manager today.
No, it's all right. Good morning, Alberto. Yeah, no, and briefly, I know you're up against the clock. Say, what do you think of this? I want your views on this. You know, it's what about how do you win over the Trump voter? That is to say, you know, half of our fellow citizens, you know, over 70 million people voted for the guy. And so that's
okay.
You know, we're not going to go back to 1860, but how do you win over half of America who are genuine, you know, good, decent, hardworking, tax-paying folk?
May I give you two answers?
Yes, sir.
There are two types of Trump voter. There's a fiscal Trump voter because, you know, if Trump comes into office, the policies he's going to pass is going to be nothing like progressives, which I don't care if other people get hurt. I am going to get my own. Trump can go too far that even those voters wouldn't vote for him. Now, then there are the sycophants. The sycophants have to be deprogrammed. And I don't have the intellect, I don't have the knowledge to do that. All I can do is keep the path of communications open. And whenever I find something where we have intersectionality, where it is existential for them, every so often I can flip one of those guys. Not often. The sycophants are cultists, and cultists are very, very hard to flip. That's why you see they have these exam tests that they do. They'll attribute something to Biden, and the Trump sycophant would say that is terrible, and then you tell them, oh, I'm sorry, it's Trump who said that, and then they say, well, maybe there's something to that. That is the sycophant, and that is what is hard to reach. And you only can reach them at a particular instant in time, in my opinion. Now, the other guys that are doing it for monetarily reason or whatever, I mean, they'll only flip. They are flippable if they can see a particular thing that works for them, because for them it's just transactional.
And if you get them, you win.
Right, there you go. And I think this election we will, because when you notice what Howard said in the beginning, please look up Trump destroying America or something like that. When some of these guys realize that even though they think they may do well with taxes, so many other things will go wrong that will affect them. That is the key to getting their votes.
Yeah, it's.
Thank you, John.
Because go back. I know we got to wrap it up, but just a healthy nation does not elect a Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Neil,
right?
Right. Yeah. Please take me to the healthy nation. I'm ready for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
okay, John. I know you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Sure.
Thank you so kindly, John. Let's jump to Donald.
All right.
Donald, come on in.
Good morning, Alberto. How are you this morning? You doing good?
I am doing good. How are you doing?
Oh, great. This is a question for Neil. I was wondering if he ever listened to the speech of The End of the Great Dictator by Charlie Chaplin. Because I know if Neil hears it, he'll tell you, and then you'll finally actually listen to it.
I hear you, Donald. I will. Go ahead, Neil.
No. I know what you're talking about. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, so get Egberto to listen to it. But
I will, Donald, I promised you that I was going to listen to it. I have so many promises to fulfill right now. I eventually will. I only got 2 minutes, and I got to give 45 seconds to Brian.
Okay.
So thank you, Donald.
Brother
Donald.
The devil.
All right, brother Donald. See you later. Let's talk to brother Brian. Oops. Let's see what Brian has for us this morning.
Okay, yeah. Here's if you can't beat him, get him off the ballot. That's a page right out of Obama's playbook, isn't it? That's how he became a city councilman in Chicago. Oh. He had his opponent disbarred and disqualified. So he ran unopposed. If you don't want anyone to know your record, just vote present. How many times did Obama vote present?
Thank you,
So,
Brian. Have a
on the
wonderful
different-
rest of your day, brother Brian. I have to jump to one last call. Just pass the last call through. So I'd never like to leave anybody hanging. So let's go real quick. Last call. Come on in. Who am I? Do I have the honor of speaking with?
Hey, this is Derek. Quickly, I want to say
Yes.
something. Did you notice that newspaper? I mean, the article that came out the news talking about that the lines were cut from underwater. You know, over there to stop the communications with the
In the Red Sea.
satellite net or something like that. You remember hearing
Neil.
that?
In the Red Sea, right? Yeah.
What I'm saying, yeah, in the Red Sea, right. I mean, when have we seen a history where Arabs go diving underwater, bothering things like that? When have we ever seen that? All we know is that Britain and America, they got the submarines. They go underwater more than any of them. So now all of a sudden, a group who don't even have money to do that is now going underwater, cutting the communication lines. Come on, man. Come on.
We are. Hey, Patrick, thank you so. Who was this again? Derek. Sorry, Derek. I know your voice. Thank you. Thank you for calling in, Derek. I need to throw this right back real quickly to the control room, and then for Neil to give some closing words. Howard and Jack.
Oh, go ahead, Neil. Jack, what you got?
Well, my favorite ice cream flavor is banana pudding.
Okay.
Well,
Neil's
I'm glad
time.
to hear that. Neil, give me a closer.
Okay, one race quickly we didn't talk about. Be interesting will be the Molly Cook Jarvis Johnson runoff for SD15. We'll see if Molly goes negative in that. And then the Houston Democracy Project, the Houston Democracy Project, the HoustonDemocracyProject.com. That's daily blog, and happy to hear your input.
Thank you so kindly, Neil, for being here. Thank you, callers. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, Howard, Jack, the mayor of Politics Done Right, and Augie, all the callers that called in today. Harry, love you all. And for those that I missed as well, my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government buy-in